Good morning and welcome to this weekly market update from AGM Markets. Today is the 16th of May 2013. What we'll do today is go through some technical analysis on Euro dollar cable, dollar Swiss, dollar yen and dollar CAD. Basically just review what's been going on in the markets and look at any sort of setups I'm personally looking at. Just generally have a look at technical analysis, basically show you what I think is interesting in the markets. Okay, so this is the Euro dollar daily chart. What do we have on this chart? Well, we spoke about in last week's video. It was all about these two fibs that were in play. So there's the sort of battle between the two fibs. So we have this one here from the highs to the lows. You can see the sellers are coming in at the 50% retracement, which is at one spot 32.29, and then we had the fib from so you've got the smaller fib here from the lows to the highs, and that one is lost out basically, in my opinion. Well, it's not in my opinion, it's just a fact really. So the buyers coming in at the 50% here, trying to support it but struggled, and we've started to break down. So this is the fib that is winning at the moment, and it looks like we're gonna come down and break the lows here at the 0% line. So that's, I mean, you can see here what happened. It got very choppy in between those two fib setups. It was a big battle, but we also had the moving averages here as well, so we had some very choppy action. But now it looks like the bears are in control, and they'll be looking to break the lows here at the 0% line. And in terms of the shorter time frames, you have I mean, because this was that a fib from there? No, it wasn't. It's just been a fairly, and in terms of fibs, the downtrend that didn't come up to the 50%. That was probably the 38.2s. So people looking to sell the bounces will probably be looking from that high there to that low there. So this is the 4-hour chart. You can flip it to the 1 hour, it's a bit clearer. If we get a bounce up, I wouldn't be surprised to see sellers coming in at that 50% there, but it's not the clearest fib of all time. So the other and the more obvious one, sorry, just zoom back out, will be from the highs here, and if we do bounce up now, then that'll be the one there. That's the more obvious one, and the more obvious ones are better, in my opinion, because if you got to think that if the banks are trading fibs and putting in their levels, etc., the bigger players will have them at the more obvious, bigger fibs. They won't want to risk the smaller ones, in my opinion. But that's just my view on that. Let's have a look at the cable chart. Similar story really to the euro dollar. We have the big fib there. This is on the daily. Sellers coming in at the 1 spot 56 handle, which is the 50% retracement. Surprise, surprise. And you also have the bullish fib, so from the lows to the highs. Buyers coming in at the 50% here. Obviously, the cable's sort of lagging compared to euro dollar, although in different charts you don't have to look at correlations. But so you have the sellers coming in on that bigger fib, that is still in play, and then the buyers are trying to push it up now. But I wouldn't be surprised to see it fail and it break down lower. But of course, it can hold, it can do what it likes. So that is the fib I'm personally looking at on cable. You can also see its previous support as well to the left here. And previous resistance, and that's always interesting to see on fibs when a 50% retracement has coincided with previous support and resistance. It happens all the time, and that's why they're quite interesting in my opinion. So I mean, yesterday's daily candle was fairly bullish as well, a decent amount of lower wick there, but there is also a bit of upper wick as well. So it's not the ultimate reversal candle, but nevertheless it could still hold. Wouldn't be surprised to see buyers at this fib with stops below the 61.8 as well. So that's cable for you really. I mean, in terms of the shorter time frame, similar with the euro dollar, there isn't really any clear sort of dips like in terms of fib dips. So the obvious fib for sellers at any bounces would be that one there, the more obvious one, very similar to euro dollar. Really, you haven't really got. We'll show Aussie dollar in a minute, but Aussie dollar you've got much clearer fib setups that have been playing out on the downtrend, where you can just sell the smaller ones. I mean, there's a little one there, but it's not the most obvious one. So yeah, in terms of selling the bounce, that's one that I'm personally looking at on cable, if we bounce, of course. Dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss has been an interesting chart. I mean, it was quite choppy and slow for a while. You had this fib here we spoke about, from the lows to the highs there. Sellers coming in at the sort of 50% 61.8% zone with stops below. You may have got stopped out, or if you had a wide enough stop, you'd still be in. And that fib. So let's just draw the fib extension on here as well, because that's. So this is a minus 23.6. Some people call it the 123.6 extension. You can call it the other way around if you want. But it's basically, in terms of fib moves, this is the sort of first key primary target. You should remember fibs are really good for trend plays. You have an uptrend here, retraces, and then bam, it goes back up, and you can see that's the sort of the primary target for a full retracement and then a break of highs. You can see here on this dollar Swiss we're getting slightly stalling here at the 123.6. You can see buyers have coming at this retracement and they bank their profits at the 123.6, and that is exactly what's happening on this chart. So that's the daily, and that move has that's completed in my opinion. But on the 4 hour, the 4 hour has been quite interesting as well, because you've had people buying in at the smaller setups. This is a decent one I noticed on dollar Swiss. The low there to the high, bam, came back down, 50% retracement. It ripped towards the upside. This one didn't work. Well, this would have come in at a 78.6, I think. Didn't get bought at the 50% or the 61.8. It started to there actually. You can see there where you had a nice sort of 100 SMA there, but it broke down and then it has rotated higher. So that's why, in my opinion, it's good to look at the more obvious ones. And also that fib there was a fib within a fib, so they're normally not the best ones to look at, in my opinion. But of course they still work, as that proved there. Dollar yen. It's been all about, we spoke about in the previous video, this move here. It's taken a long while. So the lows from the highs, the lows to the highs there, we came at the 50%, we rotated higher, we got capped slightly at 0.0%. It ranged for a while, and then we finally, so you can see a bit clear on the 4 hour actually. I'll just zoom out here. Yeah, you can see it much clearer here. So lows to highs there, we came in at the 50%, we rotated high, also off 100 SMA as well. And then it ranged for a while, and then we've finally broken that 0% line, and it's taken out that 123.6, and now it's just grinding higher really. In the sort of no man's land, it's just really just grinding and grinding higher. Be a very brave man to sell. I mean, it looks like it should come down, it looks like it's due a retracement, but it can just keep on grinding higher if it wants, and that's what it's doing really. No interest in really fib setups for me personally on this. I think it's been playing 38.2s really. That one there didn't come down to the 50%, and then you also have this one here, and then you draw the low from that dip. That was nowhere near the 50% either. I mean, I personally look at the 50% because I think it's a decent sort of retracement level. You can get a decent sort of risk to reward as well, with stops below the 61.8, and if you take profit 0% or 123.6 for example, get a decent risk to reward. It's a popular sort of strategy. Everyone's different, of course. Anyway, I'm going off a tangent there. So let's have a look at dollar CAD now. Dollar CAD on this is a very interesting chart, this daily chart. You have a nice trendline support there, which has been holding very nicely, and then you also have a fib move here. So from the low of the trendline to the high, bam, surprise surprise, we've come in at a 61.8% retracement there, and off the trend line, and off the 200 day moving average there, and we're rotating higher now. So it does look very bullish in my opinion. But what is also interesting, I'm just going to edit this fib there and add on the 78.6 level, because we can see in the other direction that the sellers are liking 78.6. I'm just going to delete this one here, and if I show you here, so if you look at the highs here, look at it from a selling perspective, you can see that one there from the highs to that low there came in at the 78.6, rotated to the downside. So if you extend that fib to the low and bring your high down to the next dip, then the sellers are also coming in at the 61.8. It most probably will stops behind the 78.6. It's quite 50-50 where the sellers have got their point to prove, but the buyers have also got their point to prove. And also, if you zoomed on the 4 hour, you've had two recent moves here. One from the lows to that high there, came back down 50%, rotated higher. And you can see it's so technical here. It broke this 0%, came up, came back down, and then bounced off that. So that previous high now acting as new previous resistance, now acting as new support, and it's trying to rotate to the high there. But if you then extend your low, this is a new fib here, because you remember Fibonacci retracements are good for dips, really, for trends, and this is precisely what's happening here. So you've now got your low here from that previous dip, extend it to the high, surprise surprise, coming off the 50% as well, and also you've got a nice bit of confluence here, the 200 SMA on this 4 hour, and it's trying to rotate towards the upside and take out that 0%. So it's been a very technical chart, dollar CAD, and that is currently what I am looking at on this chart. So very, very interesting, I think, for the bulls and the bears. There's a lot of setups in play. I mean, you've got this one currently in play, you've also got that daily bullish formation in play, and you've also got the bearish formation in play as well on the daily. So lots of interesting setups. It'll be interesting to see who wins out of the bulls and the bears on the dollar CAD. Okay then, that's all for today. If there's any other charts you want to have a look at next week, then feel free to comment under the YouTube video, and also on our Twitter feed. The Twitter feed is AGM Markets. It's at AGM Markets, sorry. Yeah, if there's anything you want to look at, any other forms of technical analysis, then feel free to comment, send us a tweet on Twitter, or comment under the YouTube. Okay, and have a great rest of the week trading. We'll catch you next week. Thanks for listening.